Good afternoon, Year 3 Order, and welcome to our next design and technology lesson, where we're going to continue looking at some of those pop-up structures that we began designing in our last lesson. As always, let me quickly share my screen with you so we can work through the lesson together. So please bear with me for one moment. There we go. Today, we're going to follow on from that design stage. Again, it's going to recap some of the elements that we've been practicing at school, but give you the chance to practice them at home as well. Now, before we get started with anything, though, I want you to have a think about those three questions on the screen. So what did you do for your design last time? Did you do an animal? Did you do a different object? Maybe it was some sort of celebration or something else that you liked. How are you going to make that design pop up? So that's something that's really key about these structures and key about our exhibitions. We need to make them pop up. We need to make them 3D in some way. How do you think we could do that? Again, maybe think back to what we've done in class. What have we done last time, or what have we done before that could help us? And lastly, what difficulties might you have? Maybe you're struggling to see how you're going to make it pop up, like we've just discussed. Maybe you're struggling to connect different parts of your structure. Maybe you're struggling to draw the design or cut out different pieces. And they're things that we can think about going forward. And again, we're going to be exhibition designers. So the idea is we create a 3D structure that we would have added to a 3D exhibition if we were still in school. And these are some of the examples of ones that we could magpie, where there's different moving parts or different bits that pop out from each. Today, we're going to recap on something, like I said, that we've done in class. And it's the different folds that we can begin to use to make our structures pop up and pop out. So the first one is probably the simpler of the two. We're going to do the box fold. And for this, you'll need some sort of paper or some sort of card, and maybe, and also some scissors to help you with it. I'm going to talk you through the step-by-step guide of how to make this one before I also show you on a piece of card that I have just here with me. So the first step is to fold a piece of card in half and cut two slits into the folded side along the lines. So as you can see, they've folded it in half. That is the folded side, that end, and they're cutting two slits, one here and one here. If you want to pause the video and do this alongside the video, you could also choose to pause it there and have a go at that first step. Moving on, once you open the card after your cuts, after you've used the scissors to cut it, push between the slits from the back and fold the card over, pressing firmly. So effectively what you want to do is you want to push this box structure that we can begin to see in this picture in the opposite direction to the fold of the card. If that sounds a little bit confusing, I'll try to show you in a moment on my own one, but it should look a little like that. And if you wanted to be creative, or if your design lends itself to this, you could create two or more box folds in different sizes. So you can see in the picture here, we've got a smaller one here and a larger one here, showing different shapes and sizes we can use. Let me stop sharing the screen because I want to show you if I can have a go at making one myself. So I have my piece of card just here. First thing I'm going to do is fold it in half. I'm not showing you this because it's really difficult to do in the air, so I'm just doing it on the table in front of me. So I folded my piece of card in half. This side here is the folded edge. And I remember from those instructions, once I folded it in half, I need to make two cuts along this edge to make my box structure. So carefully with a pair of scissors, and you might want your parent or carer to supervise you with this to make sure you're doing it sensibly and carefully, I'm going to make two cuts. One along this side and one just below it. And you might not be able to see it on camera, but if I wiggle it, there you go. You can see I've made that cut to begin to make that box-like structure. Next, I open it out. And again, at the moment, I've just got this. And again, you can see if I wiggle it, that's the box-like structure there. Now, this is the tricky bit. I need to push this box-like structure in the opposite direction. So push it through and maybe just pinch it a bit in the middle. I'm pinching it now, as you can see, to make sure it's got a bit of a fold there. And now you can begin to see the box. Now I want to make sure that is folded properly because it keeps popping back the wrong way. So I'm going to push it through, just like you can see, and then I'm going to close it on that fold. Again, I'm going to push down on my table to make sure that fold is really clear. Now I've done that, and you can see my finished products. You've got the box in the middle, just here to allow that 3D pop-up structure to begin to look like a pop-up structure. At this stage, if you wanted to, you could begin adding some designs, perhaps around the edge of your pop-up structure, or maybe you could think about what you might want to stick on that box, that pop-up bit there, to make it stand out from the rest. I'll let you have a think about that, and if you want to take it a step further, you could begin adding some of that design to that structure. Let me share my screen again, and I'm going to go through the other fold that we're looking at today. So that was the box fold. The next one is quite a tricky one and requires quite a lot of perseverance. So we'll talk through that one together now, and it's the mouth fold. Our finished product should look a little bit like you can see in the picture. So again, we use a piece of cards, but this time instead it looks a bit like a mouth in the middle of the card, which is particularly useful if you wanted to create some sort of animal for your pop-up structure. So let's look at how we're going to make this. It starts in the same way. We get a piece of card, we fold it in half, but this time we just cut one slit in using scissors. So not two lines, just once with the scissors this time. Now, once you've got that, you fold the card along the lines here. So the opening gets folded back in a bit of a corner shape, as you can see. If that's not too clear, I'll show you in a moment. Once you've done that, you should be able to open up the card, and a bit like with the box structure, you've got to push that opening in the opposite direction to the fold of the card and press firmly down. And that's the really tricky bit, and the bit that requires some perseverance. That's what I'm going to attempt to show you now. So once again, let me stop sharing my screen. And once again, I've got a piece of card here, and I remember my first step is to simply fold it in half. Again, I'm going to do that on my table to make sure I've got a really clear crease. There's my folded cards, and once again, I'll have the folded edge on this side. Now, this is the bit we need to be careful on. And again, you might need to ask for your parents' or carers' supervision for this to make sure we can do it safely and carefully. With a pair of scissors, I'm going to cut in just one cut into that paper, as you can see here. And if I wiggle it, as you can see, there is that fold. I then open it out. Now, this is the tricky bit. We've got to push that fold, that opening, in the opposite direction. I'm trying to push my finger through now, but as you can see, it's very difficult to do in the middle of the air. So I'm going to do that on the table. I'm going to push through and then fold it on that. And I'll see if I can show you what the finished product will look like. As I said, this bit is not particularly easy. It requires quite a lot of perseverance. So if you don't get it the first time, do not worry. See if you can keep persevering with the fold, which is what I'm doing now. And I'll see if I can show you the finished product. So I've had a go, and I folded it as firmly as I can. I'm just going over those folds one more time. And this is what that product should look like. And you can see I've got the cards, I open it and close, and it looks a bit like a mouth moving. And again, like I said before, if you wanted to turn this into a bit of design now, you could draw around the outside of it, especially if you're doing an animal. That could be the mouth of your animal, and you could draw the animal around the outside, create a design with a mouth in the middle of it, and that follows a pop-up structure. I will pause it there. If you want a simpler challenge, go for that box fold, which is a bit easier. If you want more of a challenge, perhaps try this mouth open fold, but as I've said, it does require quite a lot of perseverance with the folding technique. I can't wait to see some of your designs, especially if you begin adding some colours, some decorations, some backgrounds, and some animals to those folds that we've just created. As always, you can send in some pictures of the learning you have done, and I look forward to seeing them very soon. Thanks for listening, Year 3 Order, and I'll see you next time. Bye.